Something huge is about to drop. All right, people, we've got a lot of warnings out there today. We're going to hear from a few different folks giving their opinion on what is about to happen. Now, we know that just around the corner, the United States is going to change, something we've never ever seen in this country, with this many people not getting their benefits. But that's just one piece. That's just one ingredient, right? Or one, I think, part of this storm that we're going to see. Right now, companies are laying off like we've never seen before. And this is the beginning of the holiday season. November 1st is right around the corner. This should be companies hiring like crazy to get stocked up, to get people and staff for all the holiday shopping. We're not seeing that, folks. What else do we have happening? We have AI taking over a lot more jobs. It's not stopping. It's just accelerating. We've got people getting laid off from different positions, especially with the federal jobs. People working without pay right now, the furloughs, and of course the shutdown is going to drag on. It looks like nobody knows, maybe until 2026, right? We don't know. But the bottom line is we've never seen all these things happen all at once. We've never seen it. Now, some people will say, oh, you're just doom and gloom, you're fear mongering. And I hope nothing bad happens. I really do hope nothing bad happens. But eventually, when so many bad things start stacking up, something big, something massive is bound to happen. We also have a lot of people not getting their paychecks. And banks depend on these deposits. Automatic deposit typically is what most workers get now. And the banks aren't getting that. And is that going to affect the loans? Is that going to affect the banks and the solvency? Will banks continue to give out loans? Because if the loans stop or slow down, then that could also create another economic havoc, basically. But let's hear from a few people. We're going to get you on the other side of these videos here with some other important updates I want to give you today.
Dude, I know a recession is coming because one of my best friends, who's a real estate agent, just told me that he wants to apply to law school. It's coming, man.
Well, what do you guys think about that? Real estate agents are having a tough time right now. Sales are really low in the real estate market, really low. What I read was a statistic out of, was it Housing Wire, one of those. And they said that basically 70% of real estate agents had one transaction or less last year. Now, they're counting people that have a real estate license. Now, some of them, they aren't even practicing because sales are so low. So you got to factor that in as well. But when you factor in all the licensed agents, about 70% had one sale or less last year, the calendar year 2024. This year, it looks like it's about the same, maybe even worse. We're going to probably see the numbers in a few months after the year's over. But my guess is, and probably your guess too, it probably got worse. So in other words, real estate agents, no transactions, no money. They're moving on to other work. And he said they're looking to get their, what did he say, the bar association or something?
It's coming, man. To apply to law school.
Law school. Interesting.
So I was talking to someone that works for a media organization, and they're like, why is no one covering what's happening with the banks right now and the repo market? And I was like, well, if you cover that, it's going to immediately cause a run on the banks, and it is going to cause a decline in the stock market. But here is the seriousness of what is happening right now that I explained to this individual. So as you have noticed, in 2 weeks, the banks have borrowed $50 billion in emergency liquidity that was not accessed anywhere near those levels last year. That right there is an indicator we have a serious issue. And then on top of that, if you look at the borrowing that was done by this, but today on the repo market, $8 billion of it was mortgage-backed securities versus treasuries. So I give you the pawn shop analogy. When you need to go get quick cash, a diamond ring is a treasury. That's like a $100 bill, right? You give that as collateral and you get back cash. Mortgage-backed securities are garbage. It's a stack of IOUs on the backs of people's mortgages that aren't even being paid right now. So what you guys need to understand, billions and billions and billions of dollars of direct deposits, government funding to contractors, none of that is happening. So none of this liquidity is going into the banks. Worse yet, because a lot of individuals work for the government or work for the military, they cannot pay loans back. So they can't pay car loans, they can't pay credit cards, they can't pay mortgages. That's how banks get cash back. So if banks are not getting direct deposits from the government and no funding from any government source at this point in time, and they're not receiving paybacks on loans, and all that's happening is people are taking cash out. They're taking cash out of their various banks to cover rent, to cover mortgage, to cover car loans. That's why this November 1st date is so dangerous, because car loans are due on the 1st, mortgages are due on the 1st, credit cards are due on the 1st. And so all the direct deposits that are not showing up from the federal government workers to contractors to any other agency that's not getting paid. I don't know about the military yet. I still don't know if they were able to come up with the $9 billion, but let's say that doesn't happen either. Now the banks are out billions and billions and billions of dollars, and they're not getting any loan repayments coming in. So what do I think's going to happen next week? And it clearly looks like the shutdown will go into next week. I think there might be very well a run on some of the smaller banks. I've heard reports, I don't know how true they are, but some individuals are having trouble, especially trying to get out large sums of cash. So a few individuals I've seen comments on just through the TikTok have said, they tried to take out a large deposit, bank wouldn't grant that, wouldn't allow that to leave the bank. They didn't have it, basically. So that's essentially what's happening when there's no cash, when there's no liquidity. The banks can't meet these withdrawals, and then we come to a standstill and we have a run on the banks. And so what I think is going to happen next week, after November 1st, is the SNAP benefits will end, and we will not have any of that money going into the banks, and we are going to potentially see a run on the grocery stores and a run on the banks, because people are not going to have SNAP benefits, people are not going to have paychecks to buy food, and then on top of that, banks aren't going to have money to meet withdrawals. So we'll see what happens next week, but there's no intention of reopening the government before November 1st. And we're just right now heading straight into the Big Short Part 2.
All right, folks, she seems like a smart person. Good analysis there. We've talked about the repo market here a lot of times. We've seen it spike up into the tens of billions of dollars, and everything ultimately settles back down. It seems like someone or something has the back of the banks, like not letting the banks get into trouble. Of course, the big banks. Small banks, we've seen small banks fail, but they usually just get bought up by the big banks. Not everything she said was true. She said the banks aren't getting any loan payments. That's not true. There's a drop in the loan payments that the banks are getting because all the people right now not getting their paychecks. Remember, paycheck to paycheck. Most people living paycheck to paycheck. 1 or 2 missed paychecks and you're behind on your loans in a matter of 1 month or less. All right. So she said the banks aren't getting any loan payments. I don't know if she meant to say it like that, but that's not true. There's still people out there paying their loans. Not everybody is missing their paychecks, right? So things are still happening, but there's definitely big changes happening. You also heard her talk about people not getting their benefits and how that's going to further create more havoc, more people not paying their loans because the money that they used to save getting these free benefits, they used to use that maybe to make their car payment, maybe to pay their rent or their mortgage, right? So what's going to happen? Food. Is there going to be a bunch of food at the stores that's going to go bad? And will the stores stop ordering food? Is that going to go over to the farmers? Will it affect the farmers? Then if this opens back up, then you're going to have a bunch of food that went bad and stores slowing down their orders for more food to now opening back up and now needing more food. And it's going to look like it's going to be a big mess. I don't see how we get out of this without something major happening. But again, we've seen warnings before, alerts before, things that should have been red flags, not really evolve into a major economic crisis. is this time different? There's a lot of things happening that we've never seen before. We've seen things happen, but never all these things happening at once. Take a listen to this and tell me what you think about this.
Did you know that the banks are not issuing large withdrawals right now? Yes, so many people mortgages and so many people don't have money because of the government shutdown and all the employees, the military, not getting their paychecks. The bank is losing its liquidity, like all the banks. They're coming to the government and asking for billions and billions of dollars in bailouts.
Why is she filming this in a towel, just getting out of the shower? Anyways, doesn't matter.
Which means if you have money in the bank, much like your SNAP, and you think you're going to use it in November, I'd try to go get it now. If you have a safe at home, I hope you do, right? I hope you have a safe at home. I would try to go get as much of your money as you can and put it in your safe, because if they have your money and they don't have the liquidity to provide you with your cash and you aren't getting paid, or you don't have any SNAP, or you really just need to pay those bills because you haven't been getting paid, so now you're pulling from your savings and they can't give it to you, what do you think is going to happen? There's a lot of economists that are talking about how not only is there going to be a run for the market, there's going to be a run for the banks. Because what do you think people are going to do if they can't get their money and they can't pay their bills, or they can't feed themselves and their family?
All right, folks, she took it another step further. She says, get your money out of the banks. All right, and we've seen other people give these types of warnings before. The banks aren't safe because they're so over leveraged. They're lending out money they don't have. Now take away all the money that they're not getting in deposits, all these direct deposits, all the people not paying their loans back. So there's a lot of outflows at the banks, but maybe not enough inflows, right? Let me know down in the comments. Let me know. Drop a comment. Let me know. Is this time different? Are there too many things coming together at the same time for something big not to happen? Or is this just all nothing will happen, everything will continue as normal? The people not getting their paychecks, they're the only ones that'll be hurt. Everyone else is going to be fine. Drop a comment, folks, because to me it looks like there's too much going on at the same time for this to have any sort of normal outcome. But then, define what normal is. We've never really seen normal in this country. It's not normal to have to go into $38 trillion in debt just to keep everything from imploding. But that's what the country's doing, right? As a country, we can't pay our bills, we can't pay our debt. But they expect us as households just to keep paying our debt, keep paying our bills, and always remain solvent. Well, the country's not even solvent. So how are all the citizens going to remain solvent? Pretty interesting times.
You're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to see this video, you're going to realize, like I have, that the world is never going to be the same. It's never going to be the same. People have become dependent on the government, and the government ain't always going to be there to provide for you, folks. It's a hard reality. I found out the government is we the people, and we the people run out of money. We can't even pay our debt. What happens when you're at your house and you can't pay your debt? What happens to you and your family? Bad things happen, like people get divorced over money. Families break up. People live in kind of misery situations if they don't have any money. And that's the way our government is. It's become kind of a miserable country.
I would like to quote the money manager, Hugh Hendry, on Bloomberg the other day when he said, and I quote, "I recommend you panic." Well, folks, the shit is actually touching fan blades now. The banks have decided that they need to create more friction. Now, for those of you who don't know, friction means that they want to lock down your bank accounts. They want to make it either very difficult or impossible for you to withdraw your money, because people are withdrawing too much money from the banking system right now. And so the Fed is going to step in and save the banking system by locking up your money. And I am not making this shit up. search, because if you Google this, you'll see they are very seriously talking about locking you down and not allowing you to access your own money.
All right, folks, it seems too wild and crazy to be true, doesn't it? Is he right? I mean, he's got a similar tone as the person before him that we heard from talking about the banks are not going to be solvent. There's going to be bank runs. Get your money out of the bank. Keep it in a safe at home. This is what a lot more people are saying. And again, it seems almost too crazy to be true that something really widespread, big is going to happen with the banks, because we've just seen for so long just everything continue. Prices go up. Everybody can still get a loan. People can still borrow money. Record levels of debt just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing, all on the back of the banks. It's almost wild to think that something could change this trajectory, right? But is it true that no matter what happens, that it's just going to keep on going this way, or does something have to give? Is there a straw that broke the camel's back, right? So let me know. Again, drop a comment, but take a listen to this as well.
Here are the early warning signs an economic collapse has begun.
Delays in basic government payments. Well, that's happening right now. Identical language in news and official statements. 2020 reminds me of this. Another thing that's happening right now, law enforcement quietly deploys riot gear and barricades. Community services quietly start failing. This happened in Philly. And this, new digital compliance systems are rolled out quietly, like crypto. It also talks about what to do and have ready before the next Great Depression, how the U.S. went broke in the coming crisis, forgotten lessons from the Great Depression you will soon need. It even talks about this, the looming debt crisis and what it means for you. It even talks about the first U.S. states that'll go down after the dollar collapses. I think this is a fantastic resource. It's going to protect you, your family, and your friends from the next Great Depression. With everything that's been happening around the United States, they've been having trouble keeping these in stock.
About to lose my I'm about ready to blow a gasket. I swear I am. I just got off the phone with my mortgage company, right? Because they called me. I was like, why my mortgage company called me? I'm up to date on everything. Everything's cool, right? You know, I just checked my bank account to make sure the payment came out. I actually sent them $890 instead of $840, which, you know, is what I'm supposed to send them. And they called me up, and I'm like, yeah, what's going on? They were like, well, Mr. Hayes, we're calling to let you know that as of November 1st, your mortgage payment's going to be going from $840 a month to $991 a month. And I was like, for what? They're like, well, you're $900 short in escrow. And I was like, what do you mean I'm $900 short in escrow? How is that possible? How? Explain this to me. They go, well, your homeowner's insurance went from $2,600 a year on up to $3,400 a year. I said, for what? I haven't had any claims. I haven't had any issues or pop up or anything like that. What do you mean? Why has it gone up so much? Well, Mr. Hayes, you're going to have to call your insurance company for that. So now I'm going to have to call my insurance company to find out why in the my insurance went up so much to cause my mortgage payment to go from $841 a month to $991 a month. I mean, I'm barely making it as it is right now. Barely. I mean, we ain't doing bad, but we ain't doing great. Man.
Is anyone else just tired?
All right, that first guy talking about his mortgage, he's wondering why it went up. I'll answer that right now. Why did it go up? Because insurance companies can raise your rates. And if they can raise your rates, they'll do it. It's as simple as that, folks. If somebody thinks that they can raise their rates, unless there's a law against it, they're going to raise their rates, folks. If a business thinks they can get away with charging you more, they will. And that's the bottom line. So insurance companies are going to say, well, we paid more claims. And then that guy's going to say, well, I didn't have any claims. You can't raise my rates. Yes, they can. Yes, they can raise the price of food when they want to. It's business. Businesses can charge what they want. If they charge too much, people will stop shopping there. The problem with insurance is you have to have it. If you have a loan, you have to have it. If you drive a car on the roads, you have to have it if you want to be legal. So people are trapped, people are stuck. And these same companies that have people against the wall, they're pounding the people with it now. Take a listen to this.
Just exhausted. The system that we live in today, the world that we live in today, I really do not think that it was meant for humans to live like this. We have A world where all we do is chase paper, gold at $4,300 an ounce, or almost.
It's another warning sign too, folks. Why are so many big institutions and investors buying gold right now, pushing the price up like crazy? Something big's happening, folks.
For what? You can't eat it. We have a system where we run. For what? I don't think it's natural for humans to live like this. Everyone is either addicted to caffeine, nicotine, alcohol, working out, just you name it. Everyone has some sort of way to get a dopamine high, and it seems so unnatural.
They're addicted to making money, raising prices on you, especially the billionaires and the companies.
And I think it is unnatural. Just wondering, anybody else feeling that way, thinking that, or is it just me?
Serious question, how are people affording anything in 2025?
I think I played her video before and the guy before that. I think I played him. I just wanted to put it in there because she's kind of doing a reaction on it. Folks, more and more people are talking about this, especially on social media. More and more people are thinking this is not normal. We shouldn't have to hustle this hard just to get by. Things shouldn't keep going up in price when so many people are living on borrowed money. It's just not natural to be this stressed out all the time about money. Is this it, folks? Is this the turning point? Just a couple months left to go here in 2025. Let me know down in the comments, everybody, and we'll see you in the next video. Hopefully, make sure you subscribe and give us a like too. Keep us alive. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Bye for now. Peace.